Hey guys, I'm ChezPride, and it's been a couple of weeks since I actually made a Sims 4 related news video. So today I want to go ahead and play catch up on the last 2 weeks of news to come with the Sims 4, which honestly doesn't include a whole lot, but it does include the last patch we got and why I haven't actually made a review video on it, aka what it broke, and then also the laundry list for what's coming in the next patch and a Q&A, or at least a little bit of the Q&A over that laundry list and the upcoming patch to come next week on Tuesday, July 21st, which honestly why I've waited so long to make a video on the last patch is because it broke like the roofs pretty much completely in the game. Like pretty much just wouldn't load roofs whatsoever. I kept thinking there's no way they're not gonna make an emergency patch for this. They're gonna make an emergency patch for this. I might as well wait to update my game until they make the patch for it, because it's gonna be like maybe like the next week at least. Nope. At last they actually waited for the next month update. They didn't make you wait a whole month, but they are making us wait like pretty much 3 weeks to get that fixed, which is in this laundry list that we're gonna go over. So I figured before the next big patch comes out, I need to go ahead and go over the last patch, because I don't want to be going over 2 patches in one video. I've done that before. It's not fun. I'd rather make separate videos. But I figured I'm going to actually go ahead and do this a little bit backwards, because I want to go over the laundry list and what I thought was important from the Q&A over this laundry list for next week's patch, and then we'll go back and talk about the patch that broke the roofs. As always, the articles that I'm looking at today are under the EA website under the Sims 4 news and updates, and this one actually came out July 14th, 2026, and is called Laundry List Upcoming Fixes and Features, July 14th, 2026, which if you listen to the intro, then all of that information was already in there. But like I said, I want to touch on this article first. It's not that long of an article, but I did have a time going through the questions for the Q&A that was done about this laundry list and the patch that this laundry list is for, which gave us some more information. I'm not going over everything that was on that Q&A. You can go to the Sims community website if you want to look at all the questions that were answered and asked, but I picked out the most important ones that I felt like went with the little bit of information that they gave us in this article. So we are going to be jumping back and forth between some screenshots and some images that I have opened to other tabs and this article. So I do apologize while I am jumping around and all that, but let's jump into the article first. So it starts out by saying, "Hi Summers, welcome to the laundry list, where we share the fixes and features we're working on for our July 21st base game update. This month, we're introducing a new autosave to The Sims 4 and rolling out a memory boost to Mac and console players to improve overall performance for more Simmers, plus continuing to fix the top reported issues from players via the EA forums. Join the July 4th for a dev Q&A in Sims Discord for the members of the development team. We'll talk through these updates and answer questions live," which is where I pulled the questions from. So, like I said, it is going to be introducing autosave as well as save reminders and bringing the memory boost to Mac and console players. So if you don't know, honestly, I feel like we should go over the memory boost first, coming to all platforms. So it says, whether you're playing with a bustling household, building your dream home, or returning to a save that has been for years, smoother gameplay means more time enjoying your stories. That's why we're introducing memory boost in the July 24th update across all platforms. So we've already gotten this for PC, but now it's coming to console and Mac. So Memory and Boost improves how The Sims 4 manages memory while you play, helping deliver a smoother experience while reducing lag, improved frame rates, and responsive shorter loading times, and a lower risk of memory-related crashes. Players may notice the biggest improvement improvements during the longer playing sessions and longer households, highly decorated lots, and in older saves, which, while Memory Boost is a dedicated save repair feature, it also improves the save stability and reduces some of the memory-related saved issues. So that kind of gives an idea of what Memory Boost is. And with this Memory Boost, they have been including things new in the game, such as they are making it where you can go back more than just your last 5 save files. They made it where you can go back a little bit further, because basically when the game came out, it was set up to where you had where you could restore and jump back your last 5 save points. But then they're like, that's not enough. So they added some more. They also added to where if you've been playing longer and longer, you will get a save once you've played a week. So you can go ahead and jump back a week in real life time, like what you were playing a week ago, same for a month, so on and so on. So you still have those backup files as well as your last few saves. And with that being said, now they're, in addition to that, adding autosave. So autosave and save reminders are what we were going to be talking about, and honestly what I have the most mixed emotions on. So it says, from big life moments to everyday chaos, every Sim story deserves to be saved. With July 21st update, we are introducing autosave and save reminders to help protect your progress while you play. Whether you're spending hours in build mode or guiding your sim through their next adventure, these features make it easier to keep up with your stories safe so you can focus on what's coming next. Autosave works quietly in the background, automatically creating save points at key moments while you play. You can customize when autosave happens in the game save settings, with options savings after you travel between lots, after a period of playtime, or important gameplay milestones. If you'd rather stay in control, save reminders are like the friendly or slightly grumpy gnome notifications below that can prompt you to create a manual save at the frequency you choose. Together, these features help reduce the risk of lost progress while giving you the flexibility to save the way you want. And before I get into my opinion, these gnomes are cute. These gnomes are really cute. Not all of them are grumpy. Apparently, there's also like a happy gnome too. But when you get the notification, this is what it's going to look like. And it says, it's been a while since you last saved. You should probably save your game, and gives you a button to save. But basically, my opinion on autosave. One, I feel like it's a feature that should automatically be turned on. I don't think you should load into a save file and it automatically turn autosave on. I feel like that's something you should just find in the features yourself and turn it on if you want it. Save reminders are great. I think the idea of getting a save reminder, but like, hey, you've been playing a while, maybe you should save your game, is a really good thing. And I love the idea of autosave for building particularly, because there is nothing worse in The Sims 4 than working on a build for hours. And I am guilty of this, even though I shouldn't do it and I know better, but you're just working on a build for hours, you get lost in time, and then you realize, oh, I haven't saved, and you realize this because your game crash, or the power goes out and it makes your game crash, or somehow it just doesn't work the way you want it to. So the idea of autosave for building is really intriguing to me. However, I would prefer to probably still manually control where the save happens when it comes to the actual gameplay, because I'm the type of person that is wanting the option to go back when I want to go back to, if I need to start over something in my gameplay, or I screw something up and I want to go back and I realize I screwed it up a long time ago and didn't realize it. So I still like the idea of gameplay wise being able to just save whenever I want. But if I could choose to only do it in build mode, or if I could choose to only do it in my build save file, because I do have a save file where I mainly build in, then I feel like that would be the ideal way for me to use autosave. But like I said, I love the save reminders, because I feel like, you just get lost in gameplay, or you get lost in build mode, and you just be like, hey, I haven't saved in a while, and this is telling you more often because we're all guilty of it. We all forget to save as much as we really should. So, mixed emotions on autosave, but I am kind of glad it is coming to the game, and if I can set it up per folder, I'll probably set it up in my build save folder. So, a few things I want to touch on when it comes to stuff over this from the Q&A is, one, the customization of the autosave. So, like I said, I don't know if this new save setting is only for like every folder or if it's for all folders at once, but it gives you an option to, one, autosave on a loading screen, so every time you load into a new lot it saves, autosave on exiting build mode, and then you can also do real-time options, so you can choose like every 30 minutes. I'm assuming there's other options for that, and then in-game time options, you can save every day at midnight or whatnot. And then also, same thing for save reminders. You can get a frequency of every 15 minutes, probably 30 minutes, an hour, so on and so on. It doesn't show all the options, but it does show the actual settings in the new save settings files. I thought that was important. And then also, something that I actually thought made autosave better is, will the new autosave system create a separate autosave slot, or will it, once it saves, replace what was manually saved? And it's actually separate. So autosave gives you a new slot, as save reminder or saves gives your last game slot like you were manually going to save the game. So if you do it from a reminder, it's going to save under your regular folder, but the auto saves, if you have it running in the background for however many minutes, however many sim hours, whatnot, actually saves in a separate folder. So you'll have your last like 5 or so auto saves, and you'll also have your last 5 or so manual saves with the going back a week, going back a month, and whatnot that they added on earlier in other patches. I thought that was pretty cool. That makes me more open to doing autosave in my gameplay. But one thing that I was a little sad about was the fact that they will not be including autosave in Create-A-Sim. So I really hate the fact that there's no way to save in Create-A-Sim, especially when it's a sim that you've already been playing with. And I can kind of understand why they wouldn't want to do that, because when you're making a new save file, if you haven't put the sim in a lot yet, it kind of like glitches it out if you like try to save it. So if you try to save from Create-A-Sim before even entering the town where you choose where to live, then it would really screw it up. But someone did ask if they were going to be putting an autosave in Create-A-Sim, and they're not, sadly. So something else I thought was important that they pointed out was the fact that when it comes to the autosave, it can be turned off and the reminders can be turned off. But what can't be turned off is actually the memory boost. So they're making the memory boost a non-optional thing because they're saying that there's no downside to it. Now, of course, they've said that about other things in the past, and we, had stuff break because of it. But I feel like the memory boost is a little bit different than those other things we've had in the past. And I feel like there couldn't really be a downfall to it, but they are making it non-optional, and they're saying that it even has fixed some broken save files when it came to saving issues. And then, of course, they said, besides autosave, what was added? So autosave, save reminders, and memory boost were the primary aspects of this patch. But if you have already looked at the patch that we got last time, we got new festival toggles, and they have added the new Nordhaven festivals to the toggle. And then they did clarify that they probably won't be making ones for Island Living because there are no existing Island Living festival notifications, and they would have to make the notifications to toggle them, and that's just a bunch of work. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll go over that when we go over the last patch. But the thing on the smaller note is they actually took 3 new swatches for City Living Oven, and gave them to the base game version of the oven. So here is those swatches. So this is the swatches they are adding to the base game and the city living ovens, which look like this, because it's basically just like a broken down version of the base game. So with that is everything when it comes to autosave and save reminders and memory boosts. But there are some bug fixes that are going to be happening as well. We have this month, much of our efforts went into delivering new features like memory boost, autosave, and save reminder systems, which meant we tackled fewer individual bug fixes than usual. So they're saying it's not going to be a lot of bug fixes compared to normal, but these improvements build an important foundation for what is ahead. We'll have more to share as we get closer to September, but in the meantime, here's what we addressed on the 21st update. So the last patch, we added festival notifications. We just went over that. And then we resolved an issue where parts of the roof or the entire roof section could disappear when the upper floors in build mode. Roof pieces should now remain visible and render correctly regardless the selection of floor levels. So this is the one that I figured, hey, they're going to fix this in an emergency patch and I'll just wait and do this all the time. Now, as you can see, it's right here in this one. So basically, if you were jumping up and down between floors, it was highly possible that the roof would just like disappear and you could only see the floor. So to fix that, you basically had to do a workaround where you like deleted the floor and then like re-put it back, and it was the whole thing. But they're fixing it, but it basically just made it where the roofs disappeared and it was just a pain to put them back. So it says they are being fixed. I'm hoping it's being fixed in old save files and it's not corrupted, but I still wish they had made that an emergency patch. I feel like that was important, but for some reason, even they gave us the SDX deliveries and whatnot, they don't use them anymore. I don't understand why. This is the exact reason we need them, But anyways, it says we also have tested reports of corruption lot appearing in saves with many residential rentals. With memory boost now available and enabled for all players, we no longer can reproduce this issue of any affected saves we collected. So it's saying the memory boost should help with this. It just reminds us of upcoming quality of life updates. So over the past 6 months, our quality of life team has remained focused on delivering improvements driven by community feedback while continuing to strengthen the overall health of The Sims 4. Across multiple updates, we've addressed many of the community's most voted issues, from gameplay system and Sims behavior to UI, routing, build by, and create sim fixes, along hundreds of additional bug fixes and quality improvements. We've also made meaningful investments in the game's long-term stability and performance, including reducing stimulation lag, improving saveability for larger and more complex save, and introducing features like memory boost, autosave, and save reminders to make everyday gameplay smoother and more reliable and more resistant. Our work doesn't stop there. The next major life quality update is coming in September and is focused on improving general sim autonomy, which makes Sims behave more intelligently, more consistently, and more responsively across everyday gameplay, which is just going to break the game. I already know it. But it is another step in our ongoing commitment to making The Sims 4 feel smoother, more reliable, and more enjoyable every time you play. We will have more to share about the September updates as we get closer to the release. And honestly, that is the end of that. Just want to say, if you have been following the news on Project X and like the behind the scenes of like what it's turning into and whatnot, which if you are really curious about Project X or don't know what that is, I would recommend going and watching Pixelate's videos because he covers a lot of that stuff to do with Project X. But basically, Project X is what's supposed to be the, quote, upcoming new Sims generation without being the next generation of Sims. It's not Sims 5, but it's basically like they're almost remaking The Sims 4 and labeling it as its own game, but it's going to be very similar, which just smaller different aspects. And there's a bunch of drama behind it, and basically what all of the, well, I will say all of the news to come out on it is like insider info, so that's why I don't talk about it on my channel very much, because it's not like actual facts, and I like delivering the actual facts. But when it comes to the news we've gotten from quote insiders and all, this very much lines up with what they're talking about when they're saying they're going to make Sims 4 a quote better game. They're basically fixing all the core issues so they can transfer the data of the game and the structure of the game and how the game runs into a new game that goes better with modern technology. But basically they're just going to be giving us the same type of gameplay and like features, and it's basically going to have everything The Sims 4 has. So it's not a quote new generation like how Sims 3 and Sims 4 are so different. It'll basically be the same as The Sims 4, and this falls right into that, them going ahead and adding new features and improving the game and the core of it, which is good for players that are playing The Sims 4. I just would hate for them to put out a new game and say, oh, it's the new Sims franchise game, come spend your money on it, and they're literally just making a copy and save file of The Sims 4. That's not what I want to happen, but that's what it's looking like is happening, and I feel like all these quality of life updates are very much going with those rumors. But that, I think that's where I'm going to stop on what's coming in the future of The Sims. We're gonna jump back to the patch that actually came out at the very end of June. It came out on the last day of Pride month, and I know I am like 2 weeks behind recording this, but like I said, I really was hoping they were gonna put a hotfix out. They disappointed me. Once again, this article is on the EA website under The Sims 4 news and updates, and like I said, it came out June 30th, and it is called You Called It, We Answered, Fixes and Improvements. And it improved a lot of things, added a couple of things, but it did break the roof. But that is supposed to be fixed in the next patch, but let's just hope that is not another Black Photos issues. And I'm sure it made something else break. The main thing I have heard and can remember people complaining about was the roofs, but I have no doubt that I heard about something else and just forgot about it at this point, because The Sims has so many bugs, it's hard to just keep up with, honestly. But the key takeaways of this article is clearing the noise. Players now have more control over live mode notifications. They can set festival alerts when they want to see, which is what we were talking about with the Nordhaven festivals, which is going to be in the next patch. But they did all the other ones except for the Island Living, because Island Living, there are no notifications. And then fewer repetitive phone calls, fewer unnecessary interruptions, and more relevant social interactions that make more sense story-wise. We've implemented bug fixes and 12 of the most player voted issues, not just 5, but 12. Mac users will enjoy the changes addressing infinite load issues and graphical flickering. And this patch is working on magic with fixing for visuals and crashing issues with occults in 3 different packs. Over 70 general bug fixes improve the player experience, including fixes for windows, doors, alignments across graphic settings, and gallery issues with thumbnails, endless loading, and custom tattoos. So, we start out with it saying, "So ring pickup. It's me, Celia, your favorite quote-unquote phone lady from the main menu. I just had to call and tell you all about the newest quality of life update. You reported them, vote on them, and keep them at the top of the list. We hear you." These updates tackle 12 of some of the most upvoted reports on the EA forums, because if you didn't know, basically, if you have a bug fix, you can go to the EA forums and put it on the EA forums, but I would highly suggest looking at the ones other people have put on there because you can upvote them, and the Sims team knows, hey, this issue has a lot of upvotes. It needs working on, and that's where a lot of this comes from. So it says the team has also made moves to reduce save corruptions for Mac users, along with more fixes for issues we've been reporting. And some of the best news I heard since my phone started letting me know when I'm left off read. Not that you can never do that, right? Love it when calls get answered, like your calls improving life mode notification. There's been new pass and live mode notifications, and to make every day gameplay feel more intentional and less overwhelming. You are getting more control over festival phone call notifications, meaningful story contents for calls, and fewer repetitive calls. Why would anyone want fewer repetitive calls? Apparently it's to cut down the spam and keep immersion front and center. I get that. Anyways, keep reading to learn more, and don't forget I'm always here waiting, just a phone call away. And if you don't know who Kalia is, this crazy looking chick, the crazy chick. Okay. But it says, what is new? Fewer event loading occur on Mac. So this is specifically for Mac, and it says, as a part of our continued investigation to the safe corruption and the following of the March 10th update, so they are admitting the March 10th update continued into the safe corruption. It says, we moved scratch files from documents to app data for PC players to prevent conflict with the cloud backup services, and since the rollout has completed, we observed improvements in infinite loading occurrences. For the June update, we're making those same changes for Mac users. So we got that. And then it says festival notifications. Okay, so this is what we're talking about with the Nordhaven thing in the upcoming laundry list. So basically they have made it to where they will only put the festival notifications basically in the calendar. If you have the calendar, then all the festival notifications are still going to pop up there, except for Island Living, because like I said, they don't give us any notification for the Island Living one, which I feel like they should go back and give us notifications for the Island Living one, just my opinion. But in addition to the calendar, they also normally pop up where you get notifications as you're playing in the game in the right hand corner, and they're apparently making it to where you can turn off these festival notifications per pack, because all of these festivals come with different expansion packs and gameplay packs, and they are making it a point to be like, hey, if you own this pack, you can turn it off specifically. You don't have to turn off just all of it. So like, say you don't want the Give You Point festivals, but you definitely want the Mount Komorebi festivals, or maybe you want all of the festivals except for the Copperdale High School festivals because you don't play with teenagers. You can turn them off, and you can also just turn all of them off if you want, and you can just look at the calendar if you're wanting to find something to do, which honestly I think is not a bad idea. I feel like that is actually really good, and with there being less notifications, there's less lag and so on and so on. So that is good, and they, with the next patch, are adding the Nordhaven festivals to this, and that should be all the festivals except, like I said, Island Living. We have fixes and improvements for live mode, TNS notifications, and phone calls. So more control over notifications. We have updated the silence phone button to support newer content, which will provide more control over notifications. It should now probably prevent all phone calls. So basically you can now silence the phone, and it should actually silence it. And then notifications make more sense for your story. Gone are the days when the Sims would call for dating advice when they barely knew you. Now only friends will do this. Sims in the freelancer career will no longer receive gig calls and pop-ups from careers they're not in. Oh my god. Can this just be one for any career? I hate getting the careers like, hey, you want to come be like level such and such in a career? No, it's like not even something I'm interested in, nor is it actually a promotion. Anyways, that's issues. Stay over calls can now happen multiple times. They can occur anytime after 14 days have passed since the initial call. And then the Sims are actively present on the lot will no longer call to ask about a Sims childhood formative moment feature. That was a little weird. How are they even doing that for Adventure Awaits? Which honestly, that was weird. I just hate it when Sims call you when they're on the lot in general. Like, hey, we're hanging out. Why are you calling me? I'm literally here. I'm literally here. Don't use your phone. And it says that Godel Grimm and his little picker on who he will try to recruit now. He's the Grim Reaper after all. He has options. He will only call Sims and offer them a job if they are macabre, and that's for life and death. And then we have stuff to do with less spam. So, hey, we heard you just became friends with. Just kidding. We removed some of the repetitive phone calls in live mode based on the feedback from Discord, Reddit, and the EA forums. So basically, if you had these notifications, you will no longer get them. So, hey, I heard you became friends with. That's pretty cool. Hey, I heard you became enemy with. That's a jerk. Hey, I heard you and Blank are now good friends. You're getting more popular. Clearly, you're a good person to know. And all of these are from Get Together or Get Famous, and they have been so repetitive for so many years, especially the Get Together ones. Like, oh my god. So I'm kind of glad they're getting rid of those. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna miss them. Not gonna miss them. And it says, do you want earbuds? Great. They're still available for purchase from the computer. Well, apparently no one cares about that notification anymore, so they're removing it. And they're removing, we decrease how frequently players will get dancing and night bar invites from other Sims. So I honestly feel like they already decreased that. I feel like I don't get that at call for bar invites or going dancing near as much as I used to, but also Get Together was like the second big expansion pack. So, it used to be one of the only calls you got. So maybe that's why. And then Best Sterling will not call as quickly or as frequently anymore. However, once she does call, if you accept, you are still at her mercy. Good luck. And that's Eco Lifestyle. I never answer Best's calls, so I'm glad they're like strapping that down. Basically, she asks you to like donate to charity, and then she just keeps asking for money. It does eventually get you a lot of money, but you have to give up a lot of money. And then it says, we decrease how frequently players will get community console closeness calls in Eco Lifestyle. In high school years, we removed the come check out the Thrifty Tea DS notification reminders. We've decreased how frequently players will get romantically related phone calls from Lovestruck. In Royalty and Legacy, discovery requests for starting a dynasty should only occur once per save now. I just have all the discovery quests turned off, so that's just me. And then it says, in general, we decrease how many frequently players will get invites from other Sims. Honestly, I'm kind of glad because I get invites way too often, but I'm also not a social person, so And then, unfortunately, they have made a quote improvements on the marketplace, but we know marketplace is trash. So if you are interested in the marketplace, though, we are improving price transparency for maker packs and kits in the marketplace with simplified purchase flow. When you click the new buy button, the marketplace and the nearest amount of moolah will be automatically redeemed and chosen for the kit or the maker pack. For example, when you purchase a maker pack at price at 300 moolah, you'll be able to spend $2.99 at the checkout. To make the experience, Buy also provides 9 new moolah offers, which is 300, 400, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1100, 1200, 1300, which before I think you were only able to get 4 different prices. So now you're able to buy more consistently on what you actually need. So you're not buying extra to get the amount you need, which is nice. I'll say that. And then this is only available for Simmers on PC and Xbox. PlayStation Simmers will only get this option in future updates. They didn't even say anything about Matt. Did Matt get it? Oh no, it does say up there. Okay, in the title it says it. Okay. But PlayStation is being left out on this one. I feel console, man. Y'all always get left out, bro. Man, I feel bad for y'all. And then we have so many bug fixes. So many bug fixes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. We gotta jump into this. Let's get through this business, boy. Okay, so these first bug fixes are fixing the most voted issues. So windows and doors now display correctly and remain properly aligned with walls across all graphic settings, which whether be low, medium, or high, without clipping or glitching into walls. If this occurs during low settings, please follow the prompt and restart your game to see the update. So basically they're having it where they used to make it where doors would only go on the grids. Now you can kind of alt place them and kind of slide them along the wall wherever you want them. but it was making a clipping at certain points, and apparently now they fixed that. And then we fixed an issue where partner Sims could form an inappropriate relationship upon leaving a creative sim. This fix isn't retroactive and stays where the relationship has already occurred, so that's kind of a normal thing. Like, even with like incest stuff, there's like, we're not going to fix an old fix it in saves because it would like break the file, which I appreciate, but I don't appreciate there being bad relationships, inappropriate relationships in general. And then we address an issue where the game could become stuck on the thumbnail UI when a user clicks on a gallery item after changing the filters when navigating with a controller. And then we fixed an issue where simmers on the Xbox and PlayStation consoles would encounter a soft lock when trying to download tattoos from the gallery. We fixed a incident of endless loading, save corruption that could occur when trying to place certain lots from the gallery. This was happening because these lots had an overuse of placement sheets and were corrupting the lot's footprints. So that was something that's actually been a big thing for a while, so glad they fixed that. A top community concern around Sims performing mean interactions was investigated. We found while this was previously happening, these were old bugs that we were previously addressed in past patches. We investigated new reports and player saves were found were being caused by various Dynasty, a deal from the Royalty and Legacy, and was by design. We want to address this feedback, however, so the Sims Dynasty ideals will no longer constantly run mean interactions. They will get prestige points when a player manually runs mean socials. And then they said fix an issue where child Sims will automatically be added to the Dynasty. Players will receive join Dynasty notification on replay when entering or leaving Creative Sim. So all that was for Royalty and Legacies. And then we have one forget to work. It says fix an issue where the doctors couldn't perform interactions with the patients or use to deliver food interaction. Honestly, that whole career is broken. That whole career is broken. And then it says fix an issue that's preventing Sims from adopting cats and dogs. That's bad because that's the whole point of cats and dogs. And then fix an issue where preventing Sims from performing feel the love interaction properly on cats and dogs. I think I've seen that happen actually in my save file. And then fix an issue that prevented Sims from bathing small dogs. And then Sims are once again able to complete the hair and makeup tasks on the actor career and get famous. So that is all the top reported ones. And then we do have a couple for Mac specifically. So if we go, I think it's, from Werewolves up is Mac. So we have base game and then cults with item living, enchanted nature, and werewolves. So for Mac specifically, we did some rendering backend synchronization on Mac, which has addressed some graphical flickering issues in the game where players manually disable SSAO in the SGR file. So that's base game. And then cult fixes. In Island Living, we fixed old save file where Merfolk Tales had gone missing. In Enchanted by Nature, fairy wings will remain visible after traveling to other lots. Fairies with altered skin tones will no longer cause the game to crash after players swap form or appearances modifiers repeatedly. And switching from fairy form to normal form in life mode while the forms are unlikely to no longer cause normal Sims from having skin tones of the fairy form. This was a mouthful. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And then it says, for werewolves, we fixed an issue where user-created werewolves from existing save files would not be able to apply no swatch colors in Creative Sim, and werewolf nose colors options no longer reset when teen werewolves go to school, return home, and enter Creative Sim using the mirror. So that's all for Mac, and now we're jumping into console updates. So, as far as base game, fixed an issue where Creative Sim and build mode catalogs could not be sorted by pack on PlayStation. Simmers on Xbox will not be prompted to restart their game after purchasing Moolah. Xbox players will be prompted to restart their game after downloading an expansion pack or a game pack. This requires new content unavailable in game. And then we have general bug fixes. So in addition to our notification improvements, occult fixes, and scratch work files, we have continued to address highly voted common issues and also some issues that earlier fixed. So stacked items no longer get stuck on the cursor when attempting to move to the Sims inventory. This fixed for stacked items, photos, and paintings, and if still observed in other cases, please report. We also made improvements on various base layer assets, so basically the split gender neutral, the turtlenecks, and a bunch of the bodysuits and tank tops, and basically the layering thing. And then we have a couple of Sims will no longer perform the kiss interaction autonomously. We fixed an issue where new icons will reappear in build mode on items that are already seen. We fixed a situation where household Sims could get incorrectly labeled as neighbor and weren't able to use the door. They fixed simulation errors that resulted in appliances and seats breaking repeatedly despite repair, travel, or time passing. The partner relationship will no longer revert to a general household member after re-entering Create a Sim. Fix an error that would happen between 2 and 3 a.m. at night and result in Sims becoming stuck and unable to be swapped. We fixed an issue where UI options and interactions could become inaccessible after exiting build mode related to work schedules. This is fixed in old saves. And then the Sims no longer will obsessively view frogs or insect collections, including the noble frog. We included an instant of infinite loading, which could occur when loading Create a Sim via the unload Sim through Simology panel. We fixed an assert that was occurring related to stairs when objects was deleted using the sledgehammer tool after buying styled rooms. When the Sim travels to the community lot and enters a planned outfit in Create a Sim using the mirror, closing Create a Sim will now correctly redirect the Sims back to the community lot rather than their home lot. And then we additionally added a tiny ideal that active Sims will play once a day before they get the energized buff. So they have to be active before they'll get the energized buff at least once. This isn't a bug, but it's cute easy to do. And then we have multiple. So there are Sims who can be duplicated has been fixed in various ways. If this duplication is not being fixed retroactively. So they fixed an issue where Ragul could become duplicated as a grocery delivery Sim. The NPC Ragul and Neela from Enchanted by Nature can no longer be married, moved in, or proposed to because they're unique NPCs. And then Buddy Scoop is now follow his own schedule 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will not reappear with different names in relationship panel from mature weights. And other reports and threads will investigate to appear have been addressed in past updates previously. And then they said we historically fixed an issue where multiple objects could get stuck in Sims inventory and couldn't be placed back in the world, dragging and drop functionally. That is something that's been really bothering me, so glad they fixed that. This also caused grayed out interaction, inventory, certain objects, odor issues, and whatnot. And then as far as events go, we have fixed an issue where the game could get stuck when a Sim performs fan self-interaction with Fluttering Fan from the Lady Bridget Masquerade Ball. And like I said, this is it. Since we've hit multiple, we're on all platforms now, not just console. So as far as our bug fixes and steady living, we fixed a visual ceiling issue observed for adjusting apartment ceilings upon cutaway and walls down. In cats and dogs, they fixed an issue where pets could receive black texture after spending a day at the vet clinic. Unfortunately, this fix is not retroactive and saves where it's already occurred. In season, wants and fears relating to Father Winter will no longer show up if wants and fears are toggled off in the options menu. And growing together, infants will now properly unlock the first visit to family member home milestones, and sleep will now reduce the duration of mental fog buffs as well as all other Sims dazed moodlets. And the mental fog buff description has also been updated to say Sim's name is starting to feel woozy from his and her mental load. Maybe he, she, they should get a good night's sleep before things get worse. And honestly, I just always delete the mental fog. I hate the mental fog buff, so that doesn't really apply to me. And then Horse Ranch, we fixed animation issues with hands where the mysterious rancher Sim tries to close an umbrella during the thunderstorm. That is so random. And then for rent information is now properly displayed as bills and utility panelings. We addressed some of the reoccurrence where rent price showing up as 0 for the current billing estimate for residential rentals. Fixed the rent calculation to be correct and not decrease over time. And then objects in multi-unit residentials can now be interacted with properly, and the game will not crash after switching a household, which is honestly something that's been happening, so I'm glad they fixed it. And then in high school years, fixed an insert that could occur when clicking on a reaction emoji. And then in Royalty and Legacy, we asserted a report that Sims become muscular for no reason. The Sims with Dockeron of Vitality are intended to gain muscle over time. We've updated the text to become clearer for the attendant behavior. And then the geek trait will now only display a single positive value when compared to the Scholar Dynasty ideal. Adjust the ballroom dance animation where the Sims hand could clip when the partners switch sections at the end. And then we have outdoor retreat as our final quote bug fix. And it says we fixed a simulation error that would occur when using the put in inventory interaction on the Gordon cot or the Ashura sink, which I think are different sleeping bags. And then we have a bunch of tagging issues, which honestly I'm not about to go through and read the name of all these, but I'll just very quickly skim through it. So there's a hair that is ombres that will be the proper link. We have the dirt nails no longer appear duplicate in Create Sim. Applicants for cats and dogs will now hear through both miscellaneous and show all categories. The love seat will now sort under love seats and build mode. There is slats that get sorted into the outdoor furniture and horse ranch. These hairs will now also be available for female children. And spa days, Relaxo Deluxe Chair, Happy Hands and Feet Co. Something will now sort the miscomfort category. In werewolves, there's a love seat that will now be sorted in miscellaneous comfort and outdoor furniture. And last two, there's a light that will now properly be in the light category, and the botanical beacon light will now sort under wall lights. And they ended with what they've been doing for the last few patch updates, where they have a patch update for mods and what is changing in the structure of the game. So you can go find this article if you are a modder and you want to know how this may affect your mod that you created or whatnot, because they do try to be supportive of the mod community and try to help out where they can, but you know, they fix so much at once. There's only so much that they can do when it comes to people's mods. So with that being said, that is everything I want to go over for this video for the last 2 weeks of news in The Sims. Like I said, it wasn't like a ton, like it didn't cover like a ton of things, but a lot of this was really big things that was fixed or is going to be fixed in next week's patch, which I will try not to wait so long to cover that patch as I did this last thing in this video on this patch, because I probably waited too long, but I was just so certain they were going to do an emergency patch, but no, they didn't. Again, why do we even have STX shops? Like, we don't use them anymore. I don't know. But that is all my Sims news. I do want to put out another video soon on Paralives as well, but I felt like this video had enough content with just the Sims 4 news. But like I said, I do like to cover Paralives as well. I have some catching up on that to do, so that will also be coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. But that is all for my Sims news, guys. So I'm gonna end this one here. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff, because you guys are awesome people. I'll see you next time. Alright, bye!